The idea behind this video is to learn how to paint a picture very quickly but still retaining the flavor of the scene and achieving decent quality realism that involves all aspects of a good painting but without focusing too much in the detail. We'll do suggestive detail but not the you know tiny details. The success involves following the process, and after learning, this will be very helpful for an artist to understand how to do a plein air painting on the spot, or maybe doing a live painting in front of people. So this is not limited to landscapes but may involve everything. So let's start with the composition, and in this painting I'm following rule of thirds. There are four lines that are intersecting each other, and there are four corners that have been generated. So the main subject matter, in this case the houses in the distance, should be closer to those corners, and I am also focusing on the central area where there is most amount of light, and the other areas are slightly darker to create some sort of a point of interest. And also there are other things that I have manipulated a little to create some sort of a circular pattern so that our interest retains in there. If you focus on the top blue line that we have, it's actually moving from one tree to the other to create some sort of circular compositional pattern. Also, the plow lines in the foreground were horizontal in the real scene. I created them almost angular and directing towards the house in the center. So you can see how composition is very important, and it's an artist's job to retain the interest of the viewer within the picture. There are more methods apart from just rule of thirds, but since this is more or less universally accepted and also present in our mobile phones, so I use it quite often, and also it's very easy to understand. Put the most interesting thing in one of those four corners and create the composition. So let's look at the other aspects apart from just composition. We need to focus on the shape, the value, the degree of lightness and darkness, and also color temperature, how cool or warm a particular area will be. And also we will be focusing on working list, which involves the technical mastery and also the choice of equipments. May not be the best equipment but the right equipment. So let's start with the drawing, which will involve the shape and value as well. So here I'm starting off with a very thin wash and a line drawing, and here I'll be focusing on the shape of the objects and their positions, and if there are any changes I will change them, but so far there hasn't been any. And gradually after when the line drawing is done, I'll be moving on to the tonal aspect. So I'll make some tonal drawing as well upon this line drawing to indicate the degree of lightness and darkness and also the color temperature. It is quite an easy thing to do. The farthest areas will have more blue, and as we move forward we'll gradually increase the amount of brown that we are going to use, and we are going to make a black for the darkest contrasting areas out of mixing a blue and brown color. As you can see here, I'm indicating the shadows and very deep contrast compared to light and dark. Now I started using a blue color to indicate the distant foliage and distant areas, and I'll probably leave out the front to understand that these will be the lightest areas. And I'm indicating mostly the shadows. Shadows need to be connected so that the painting looks unified, otherwise the painting will be disjointed. So here I've started with the sky. We are going to paint the values rather than colors, using the drawing that we did, and we are going to also focus on the temperature. Now you can see the top part is actually very cool because it's just blue and white, but the lower part of the sky has more yellow in it, rather than blue, and also a white mixture. So since the earth's temperature is also reflected upon the sky, and we see a warmish color, we just don't see a complete blue color. So here is the color temperature and also the value is the same. If you squint a little, you'll see the value of the sky is same. It's just the temperatures that are doing their thing. And I'm also darkening the top left corner, which is not the source of the light, so it's a little darker. As we move forward to the right hand side of the sky, in real life it will be darker. Now in a painting, to determine values, it's important that we start from the farthest areas, which is the sky, and now I'm moving towards the distant foliage, which is actually more blue gray kind of a color, and there is hardly any yellow in it. And if there is some warmth, I am using only a yellow ochre to indicate the warmth. And since it's yellow ochre is yellow and blue gray is bluish, so they are making decent enough green, but they are very muted. And this is another section that I am painting in the distance. These trees are slightly close by, and they are eucalyptus trees, so they created sort of a mountain like appearance. And also the lower part is slightly warmer, so I am increasing the value and also creating some warmth in it. These are closer than the background that we have, so we are working from the farthest corner and gradually moving forward so that the value is understood. Determining value on its own is difficult and requires some skill and years of practice actually, but when you are following this method, you will be able to understand the differences of value and also how things are, what is the degree of their darkness and lightness. So determining value is in itself is a tough job, but the basic principle is that the farthest areas will have a more lighter and bluish appearance, and as we gradually move forward, they will be darker and more saturated. So that is how we are going to determine. I am adding some yellow ochre to the mix, and also along with some white to indicate the lighter portion. And this is the field that is just next to the foliage, and this is also a very muted sort of a green, which is made out of yellow ochre and French ultramarine. Here I'm constantly focusing on the background and adding new layers of paint to create some sort of an illusion of reality, because we already have a very short span of time, maybe 1 hour and more than an hour maybe, but less than 2 hours. So we need to create some sort of an impression where we can create some sort of an illusion of reality. And here I'm also indicating very bright colors in front of us in the foreground, so that I must get an idea about what I'm dealing with. I mean, the background is not the picture's color, it is the frontal section which is actually the more dominant factor. So this could have been dealt with during the drawing process, because it's actually the part of the drawing process, doing a base color and warmest color, so indicate the color temperature. But here I have almost painted the background, but now I am focusing on the foreground, and you can see that I have started adding some amount of yellow into the mix, so that we get some sort of a greenishness, and we are gradually moving forward. And as we move forward, we are going to add more yellow to the green. And this is like the last bit of green that we have in the foreground, and so it should be actually the brightest. But here I'm mostly painting the underneath structure, the color that is going to be seen underneath the hedges and bushes. so that is going to be a slightly darker one, but we are going to add more yellow colors on top of it. And here I'm making some adjustments and creating some lighter marks as well. Now I've started re-indicating the shadow parts, and this is ultramarine with some amount of burnt sienna, and this combination works very well, and it might work if you add a little alizarin crimson into the green, very slight amount, but it will also do the trick, and it is going to be a very dark color. So this is like the very shadow colors that we have. So the frontal greens will have the most contrast, so I'm also making them very dark, and also an upward stroke making to create some impression of the bushes. So even though I am focusing mostly on painting the colors right now or putting down the values and temperature, but I am also focusing on the shape part, which involves the modeling, as we call, but we are also focusing on shape. So it's going on simultaneously: shape, value, temperature, shape, value, temperature, and what technique to employ so that we can put that with minimum effort, and also what equipment to use to successfully render that particular shape. So this is like the core structure of a painting. So this is a more or less a rough work, but as we refine more and more, we will be refining the shape, value and temperature continuously. I started adding some bluish or maybe blue-gray shapes to the trees, and to indicate the shadows and some sort of a fullness of the form, and also indicating some sort of a mistiness in the background. With a bigger brush, you can see the size of the brush and also the way I am holding the brushes. Here I am also using a round brush, but you can see the sizes of the brushes are mostly thick, and and also the amount of bristles in those brushes are also thick, so they create a very softer mark rather than a very sharp edge. In the initial stages, I generally prefer to work with very thick brushes, or at least rounded thicker brushes rather than very small brushes, because sometimes accidentally, or maybe in a controlled accidental manner, you create the right shapes by doing less. So again, the painting, the technique is actually about how less can you do, but also retaining the flavor of the scene. You can see that I'm adding just white dots here and there. These are not white, actually they are mixed with blues and yellows. And here I've started indicating the branches of the trees or the stem of the trees with a modified brush. I have lots of these modified brush, but in this case they are not proving out to be very useful, so I need to use a liner brush later on. But you can see I've started with a whitish color for the foreground, and this is very thick paint. In the initial stages, I feel that it's not important to put very thick paint, but rather the paint that covers the area, and gradually we build the surfaces. Otherwise it becomes a little bit difficult to manage. Also, I would like to inform that the controlled use of white paint is very important, and this involves some sort of a skill because white paint gets into everything, and most importantly the shadow colors. So you have to be very careful while using it, and you have to pre-think before using the white paint. In between, I used a modified fan brush to create some of the shapes of the trees, and I'm using now a very rounded but somewhat ruined brush to create the foliage, and also focusing on the stem of the tree. You can see, due to the white paint, I'm already struggling to put the black paint there. It's actually not a black, it's a very transparent violet color. And now I've started putting the white paint in the foreground, but I know how to tackle this thing because I'm going to create some plow lines, and I'm going to be using a mix of yellow ochre and some variations of brown to indicate them. But at present all the values have been put, and just increasing the variations a little within that particular value range. Now if you squint, you can quite clearly understand what has been going on. Just half close your eyes and you will be able to see the mid tones, the lighter tones, and also the darker tones. Now the plow lines have been put, and I'm also creating some juxtaposed white marks for a transition between the foliage as well as some sharp edges, and now a mix of brown color to indicate or make the plow lines prominent, and some other points of interest. So at this point this is like the block-in has been done, and after this we can refine this painting up to the high realism that we know. But at present this is believable that it is an okay kind of a painting, or maybe you have done a plein air or maybe a live demo kind of a situation where you had to make a painting. So this method will be quite useful. You cannot do a highly finished piece of work within an hour or maybe two. And here I've started working on the houses in the distance using very dark colors. You can understand how difficult at this stage is to put the dark colors along with the white colors that are already present onto the canvas. Now I'm trying to create some realistic patterns and creating the variations between the darkest colors and the lightest colors. I'm also focusing on the bird holes, the shadows, and adjusting the shapes. The values and the lighter areas. So because there is an element of white which actually ruins the crispness of the painting, so I need to redo them to some degree. So the last bits are mostly about correction and nothing more. So the painting is almost done, and this is the shot of the final picture. So I hope I have been able to clarify how a painting can be done very quickly. To sum it up, in order to do a successful painting, one needs to focus on the composition, then the shape, the value, the temperature, and the technique that needs to be employed, and also the equipments that you're going to use. So if you like this video, then please click the like button and also subscribe for future videos. Remember to click the bell icon so that you get notified when a new video has been uploaded. And also remember to check out my website www.kaustavamfineart for more painting, and take care.